Yeah, boy.
Oh, yeah. We're back
We're in this.
together.
Together.
We're in this together. I remember that in 2020.
Yeah, we're all.
We're all in. Sorry, we're all in this together.
Yeah. So what's up? What's up?
Oh, just navigating the ever changing insanity of our world. So,
Yeah.
we had the Nashville mass shooting by a trans person, which was a first, a definite surprise twist to start off school shooting season. As we all know, this is usually the time right around April where a bunch of weird shit happens.
Yeah, it's like scare them up before summer break. But actually, before all that, we talked. So this show's a little bit just on the cuff, like kind of just a phone chat, like letting y'all in on a phone chat. Because we actually talked when the bank thing was going down.
Yeah, we should have just recorded that because it was essentially what.
Yeah,
it was a good conversation that was worth hearing and having for other people to maybe listen to. But
yeah, but since then,
mm-hmm.
Everything's gone to shit.
What specifically has gone to shit?
Well, the trans shooting. What else we got? We had a big week this week when we got the fires in the banks. All the banks burning down.
Wait, I didn't hear about this.
Oh, all those banks melting down?
Oh,
yeah. Fire.
Yeah, okay. So are you referring to...
Figurative.
Yeah. Which ones in particular in the last week have we lost?
As far as banks?
I know credit I don't know what the status is on all this stuff.
Yeah, I heard the Swiss government.
Credit Suisse, right? What?
Yeah. Who bought them? I have a friend who has client is the one that bought them. Or the Swiss government ordered them to purchase them. So I think Credit Suisse was the second largest. But I just mean in general. We have that going on, and then instead of focusing on that, we're just getting pumped and fed and grifted on through a whole other range of emotions. Because I don't know if the average American right to handle the emotion of the money situation.
Yeah, they're completely oblivious to it.
I mean, I know I'm not, so.
Yeah, well, you mean like the US dollar getting knocked off the pedestal, essentially? That's the one that's kind of the looming...
with the BRICS?
Yeah, BRICS. Yeah. China making deals with Saudi Arabia and
France.
Oh, I saw that. That's I don't know what Macron's pulling there, but behind the scenes with the whole Ukraine situation, I feel like Europe has to. I mean, they're kind of cucking themselves to whatever the agenda is, but they're getting really fucked, more so than the U.S. is.
I feel like they always do too.
I know. Well, how long has Europe cucked itself? I don't know. I mean, I guess they've just been in that position where, I think a lot of people in the U.S. who will say lean left always love to idolize Europe. There's some good parts about Europe. It's not like, there's some interesting culture over there and they do things differently and some of it works, although in the last few decades it seems to be not working and getting worse in a lot of ways in terms of their social services and all that. But a lot of people in the US, they specifically with guns, like, oh, we're the only country where this happens. Like, well, that is a consequence of a number of things, and certainly having guns available makes that a possibility, but there's obviously more to that story. But in terms of the bigger picture, economically, Europe is they're on the cusp of all this stuff. I mean, they did the eurozone, they
Mm-hmm.
together, which never made any sense when you look back on it. It seemed doomed to fail, but they tried it. And all of the green stuff that is pretty much destroying their economy and will be ours as well if it isn't already. They're just a few steps ahead of us.
Mm-hmm.
They're also in a much more vulnerable position because they don't have the Fed, they don't have the big old military to enforce the reserve currency, and
They don't have resources, natural resources, really.
I mean, the Nordic countries have some oil and other,
Yeah.
but yeah, I mean, in terms of land mass, like they don't have a lot to explore because most of it's inhabited, when in
Yeah.
Western Europe. So
As they used to say back in the day, Europe's been dug out.
yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah.
So
Did you hear about the Russia bombing?
no.
St. Petersburg.
When was this?
Just recently, somebody it was like a woman, which is really weird. All these women terrorists in the thing, but
Equity,
you got it. And I think the women are now making 89 cents on the dollar compared to at this point.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was I don't know who this guy was. He was a pro-Putin guy. But she gave him like a gift, like a little figurine as a gift, and it was like at a meeting, and it just blew up.
Wow.
I think like 25 people die so far or something.
Yeah, have not heard about this whatsoever.
Yeah.
Was it one of the members of Pussy Riot or?
You see the Russian? There's Russians all over the place. Yeah, pro-Russian propagandist killed in blast in St. Petersburg.
No.
It's a cafe bomb. He was a military blogger.
No, so that all those things make it justified, sure.
Yeah, let's see. Yeah, pretty bad. And that's just typing in St. Petersburg bombing. But oh, but there's another Russian on 60 Minutes, I think in 60 and 6, which is a weird kind of satanic thing to it. He was Leslie Stahl. No, it wasn't Leslie Stahl. Never mind. Anyway, I'd pull it up, but he just called Americans a bunch of pussies. Because the question was like, well, you guys had your Pussy Riot, and Trump had his like version of Pussy Riot, which I don't know what she was referring to. And she's like, what do you think? And the Russian was like, well, I don't want to offend anything, but you have more pussies hanging around both parties in the presidential campaign or something like that. She started busting out laughing. Pretty funny. But yeah, lots of shit going on. And we got the indictment, if you will, coming up.
Oh yeah, did you watch that video I sent you from that comedian?
Maybe my phone's been on jack.
It was like when it was first announced last week, where he was, he does the Trump impression.
Yeah. Yep.
That was pretty good.
Yeah.
I mean, I was saying to a friend the other day, it was like they had this script in the books percolating for like 6 years, and for whatever reason they finally have decided to bust out this chapter of the narrative, and it definitely is like, all right, what's about to happen? What are they covering up right now? Is it just a media sideshow? I mean, I don't think anyone. It's hard for me to like think that anything is organic these days in terms of how something happens, because uh, it's all within that sphere of how can we manage the narrative of all the other things that are going wrong, or what do we want to push to promote whatever new thing we want to talk about. But yeah, I mean, we'll see what happens this week, because I don't know. I heard something that Trump might have to have a gag order about talking about the case, which I don't know, to where he wouldn't be able to talk about it on social media.
Smart. Because you know he will.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
So, I don't know. I mean, there's I still feel like the Trump story is always just kind of a distraction, at least, I mean, definitely right now. But it's really interesting to me that to get to the shooting in Nashville, I don't know if you noticed, like, there's mass shootings that happen a lot in America. But for whatever reason, this shooting in particular really amplified the mass formation in some people. And I don't know if it has. Part of me is thinking that it's because they're trying to obfuscate the fact that this person probably targeted that school because of hatred related to Christianity and trans related issues. And it was pretty funny. I don't know if you noticed when the story first came out, how the media was reporting it as a female. And of all, the woke stuff, like, you would think that the media, I think the media was literally trapped, because on the one hand, they're all about not misgendering whatever, but on the other hand, they're also not wanting to draw attention to the fact that the person that did it was trans. So it seemed like they were caught between a rock and a hard place, and they went with the misgendering route. So I don't know what it was about this particular issue that, like, the protests that happened in the Nashville, or in the Tennessee state capitol. Did you see that?
Was that on a quote unquote anti-trans bill?
No, that was in relation to guns.
Oh.
And it was nuts. And somebody I know who is very much on this train was there, and I just saw a video from it, and it was pretty crazy. I mean, it almost looked like an insurrection, at least how we define that now.
Right. I've seen a few, yeah.
And I use that term in quotations because it's all bullshit, but it just goes to show you that, the favored political causes get away with whatever they want. And
yeah,
I mean, yeah, it seems like the trans radical activists have escalated recently, even outside of the shooting. I don't know if you've been following any of those stories. Like, there was a guy, Billboard Chris. I don't know if you know that guy.
Yeah, I saw that.
He got assaulted.
Canadian, right?
Yeah, in Vancouver.
Yeah.
And apparently one of the cops were just laughing, and then he tried to, get them to do something, and they were like, well, you incited it with your violent rhetoric or whatever.
All right.
So Canada's, I don't know, man. Canada seems like a lost cause, but sometimes it seems like the U.S. isn't too far behind it in a lot of ways.
Yeah.
With what's going on with our judicial system. But I don't know if I don't. Yeah, No Agenda has been talking about how, at least on the one of the latest episodes, that it's trying to be pushed as a new BLM kind
Hmm.
of
Hmm.
social disruption, divisive movement to rile people up and to get them to take it to the streets one way or the other. And I personally think a lot of what we've been seeing in the last year or so when it comes to the drag queen issue is in part an attempt to rile up people to get somebody to do something.
You mean people on the right?
Yes,
Yeah.
I think that the powers that be, they
Hmm.
are have been promoting this in the background. I don't know. I mean, because it's been going on for a while since really
Yeah.
the start of the Trump administration.
Yeah.
But
Even before
yeah, I saw it. I saw it years
2015.
ago. Yeah, just seeing stuff around like what is this about? Like, why are they doing this? And I think they're amplifying it to get people to do something so that they can have like a George Floyd situation within the trans community, because there is trans genocide going on. Did you not know this?
Well, yeah, just it doesn't have the 400 years
It really.
behind it though to get all the normies on there, all the
Mhm.
leftist normies. I mean, there's some of it. The guns will do it. The guns will do it for sure. That's been beat into the heads for the last 23 years, 4 years. Um, Especially this month would have been Columbine, I think in '99.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's been going on. I just don't see it though. I don't see the same. I don't see the same effect of having people deny that there are riots going on in the streets like they did in 2020.
I don't think they can get the push for that. Like, I don't know um what the cycle is on that in terms of these insane riots
Hmm.
everywhere, because that seemed like a once in a generation thing because of the lockdowns.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, because that was, I remember that it was totally a pressure valve being released in regards to that, in a perfect misdirection from people being upset about and being like made to be crazy being locked up in their house.
Yeah. For about 2 months at that point.
Yeah, I mean, it
Yeah.
was almost
Need something else.
and there was the Ahmaud Aubrey case. I see. I remember this because everyone is in lockdown,
Mhm.
and then all of a sudden you're getting all the same celebrities and whatever reacting to that video. Um, and that case seemed pretty bad, but like it was just interesting. Like it was like revving up, and then when George Floyd happened, it was
Yeah.
almost overnight. Like,
Yeah.
that fuse had already been lit, and George Floyd just exploded the powder keg. So,
Yeah. Well, it's like more like the lawnmower analogy or the engine. You press the button, prime and the pump, and then when you pull the string, it starts. You know, like the Ahmaud Aubrey being the priming of the pump. Like
yeah,
you got to prime it up first.
yeah,
You,
for
you
sure.
can't just yank on the string and expect the engine to rev. But yeah, I totally agree. So, what do you think the priming's been? All this libs of TikTok stuff
Well,
for the past year,
I
like
guess in terms of
creating like
priming the
creating
right.
empathy for the trans.
Yeah, I mean, so everything that and I mean, there's different factions of the left. I'm referring to the establishment, like the agitators, the people that like to utilize the dialectic between one side or the other. I think, especially with the drag queens, it's such an obvious honeypot to get people to be like, what the fuck's going on here? Why are we doing this in front of children? And it's an easy way to elicit a reaction from people that are going to find this to be, repulsive. And so you're getting that response to then be able to use it as a political football, and I've seen that, like, how many drag queens have killed like drag queens that have killed children, 0 guns, whatever. It's just like this piece that they can use. But then you get, the Patriot Front guys. I don't know if you've seen those feds, obvious feds, but they dress up with all the masks, which is, a clear sign that, to me, that they're not a real group. But they've been going to rallies, or they've been going to events in Ohio recently.
What kind of events?
Drag queen stuff.
Oh.
And protesting. And then you also had the neo-Nazi group in Ohio. So there's something going on in Ohio with this stuff.
Yeah, with a lot of stuff.
Oh,
train derailments.
Yeah, God knows. Yeah.
Yeah, Ohio's on deck.
Yeah. So they're clearly, to me, a lot of that controversy that's been promoted about Drag Queen Story Hour is to get one side revved up, so then there's a response. So then the left can respond and crack down in one way or the other, or to prove a point, because this whole trans genocide that I was talking about, which is what it's another Orwellian made up term, because where are all the dead bodies of a genocide? You mean you're talking about trying to, Michael Knowles said eradicate transgenderism, like, from public life.
Yeah, not transgenders, just transgenderism.
Right. As a thing, maybe that shouldn't be promoted in schools or all that. But, he chose those words to rile up. He knew it would rile people up.
Yeah.
In the same way. Yeah. I'm not a huge fan of Michael Knowles.
I've heard of him, and I've heard the things he says, but
he just seems like another basic conservative who's just...
Is he like a Richard Spencer type?
No, he's like, he's works for Daily Wire. He's just kind of a Ben Shapiro, like, I love Reagan kind of guy. So Reagan's great. Like, good guy.
Yeah.
So
Reagan won 49 out of 50 states in his second term. Yeah, it's crazy.
Mm-hmm. And why doesn't the left bring up Reagan more in the relation to gun control? Shouldn't they be loving that guy, or what?
I don't know. They don't know.
They don't know. They don't know what the hell they're talking about in anything. But
no.
They're just all reactionary, which, again, just to touch on the Nashville shooting for a second. So when that happened, and all of the immediate response of it's the guns, there was a bunch of posts that I was seeing from some people talking about, and this is why we need to ban assault rifles right away. And I was like, that person. Well, that person didn't use a quote unquote assault rifle.
Right.
So it's so patently obvious that, it's so twisted that your first response to a tragedy is to say, and that's why we need to ban those guns that weren't even involved in it. It's like, we need to ban that. We need to ban that car that's going too fast, and people are. It's like, well, they weren't even driving that car in that street race. Like, what are you talking about that other car for? Like, well, it's bad in general. And it's just like, okay, maybe you should not be in this conversation because you're not even trying to be honest about it. But
they're not even trying. They're
No.
just like you said, they're just reacting.
they're all motion.
It is crazy. It's crazy and quite disgusting. Yeah, you're right.
It truly is.
Yeah. That's the first thing. Oh, enough is enough.
Yeah.
Oh, clutch my pearls type of stuff, you know? Just to say what? Just to be what? Just for what? You know? Like, I get the politicians. They want what they want. But just like the normal people out here repeating this stuff, just like, what? It's just like if you and I were talking now, and I'd be like, "This is why we need SSRIs off the table," you know, like that's not even.
We didn't even know that what the person was on.
I know.
I mean, I would probably guess they were on something, but regardless, maybe before we get to, the funerals haven't even happened before you start mentioning policy changes that aren't even really related. It's just,
yeah, and nobody really is even open to discussing the symbolism around the whole event. That is kind of right out in the open, like the 33s with the 3 adults, 3 children dead.
Oh yeah, I didn't even think about that.
And then the 6 total people.
No, it's 7. Hello.
Oh.
Did you see that video?
No, but you got me. You're right. 7, because the other bitch got folded. Is what I heard, like the lawn chair.
Oh, really? Wow.
Yeah, they came in shooting and just. You haven't seen those memes?
No.
Just folded all slink like a Family Guy death.
Oh. There was a moment of silence at the Capitol, and there were people raising their fingers to signify all the people who died from the tragedy, and a lot of people were raising 7 fingers, and you can hear somebody say like, even if they were one, it's a death is still a tragedy. It's like, for a fact that if that person wasn't trans, that finger would not be up at all.
Wait, no one. They were raising fingers for
yes,
vaccine injured.
No, they were raising. They were raising 7 fingers instead of 6.
Death is a tragedy.
Oh well, that's coincidence.
Okay.
Also, I've been hearing this stat that the most leading cause of death for children is now guns, which
I've been hearing this too. Whitmer said it.
Oh yeah,
in tweets. Yeah,
I question that obviously, but I wouldn't be surprised if a certain medical intervention is actually the leading cause. But who am I to say? I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, that's tough when it's not recorded properly.
No.
And honestly. But
of course not. Yeah. Which to get on the YouTube's gonna ban us topic.
Oh God, yeah.
I don't know if you followed Ed Dowd on Twitter at all?
Ed Dowd. Dude, your Twitter is not yours. We're using the same Twitter.
Yeah, so you see the same feed, yeah.
And I see the same feed. And I have never really had Twitter. But every once in a while I'll go on there. And lately I've been going on more because the feed gets more and more insane as you add and follow and tweet out.
Oh, I know. Well, I actually, off of that, I got blocked by a Denver reporter today.
Oh, the Slow Graph podcast got blocked.
Yeah, Kyle Clark blocked.
Oh, here, let me read the tweet out for everybody here.
Oh, you know what I'm talking about?
Kyle, you're part of the authoritarian class. You do us bidding every day under the guise of journalism. Your fancy studio production can't hide the fact and can't hide that fact, and most aware individuals are seeing through the facade. You've been pissing on us and telling us it's raining. We see. That's the tweet.
Yeah.
Nice.
And he blocked me for that.
Oh yeah.
His by the way, I just want to point out he works for 9 News. I think it's NBC. Their security guard for a reporter at a rally in 2020 shot and killed a protester, and they were not charged. Actually, they were initially charged, and then the charges were dropped.
This was a MAGA.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, because Lord knows he wouldn't have shot anybody on the other side.
So you're talking about Kyle Clark here at Channel 9. That's what the NBC Peacock?
Yep.
Nice. Don't just watch. Is their tagline.
No. Yeah, Kyle Clark's a arrogant son of a bitch, like everyone else who would be in that position. But
wow, he blocked you.
Yeah, I mean,
he must just be on a blocking spree, or his intern is, or whatever.
Well, I did respond to several of his tweets in relation to guns or anything like, yeah, this coming from the man whose security guard shot and killed somebody at a rally. I'm surprised he didn't block me sooner.
Yeah, here's another one. Truth. Or no, somebody replied to you. Truth. Be ready for Kyle's cute little disarming retort. Which was a block, apparently.
Yeah.
And he's a dad, a husband, a journalist. Proud of Hey Next viewers, $10 million in word of thanks micro giving. Confidential tips to Signal 303-871-1841 if you have any confidential tips to send Kyle.
Yeah, Kyle's an Antifa shill, literally.
Allegedly.
He did say during 2020 he did respond. I can't remember the context, but you can look it up, that he's basically kind of saying Antifa is a good thing.
So he was allegedly saying that Antifa is a good thing?
Yeah, basically.
Okay.
So getting back to Ed Dowd.
Yes, bring me back on this.
So Ed Dowd was a BlackRock like account manager, I think.
Okay.
And he first hit the scene from Steve Bannon's podcast regarding the fraud at Pfizer and whatnot. And he just came out with a report and this is crazy because I thought it was a pretty high number. And then I looked at what what he was referencing in terms of the population. So he's been tracking the issues from the stabby, and he has been analyzing the excess deaths and saying, this is actually the realistic number for the amount of people who have died as a result of the safe and effective. And he did a report that he just released for 2022. And this is for working people from, I think it's 25 to 60, age 25 to 64 in the US, just for 2022. And he estimated 300,000 deaths.
Mm-hmm. I've seen this.
Just for 2022,
Yeah.
which is mind-boggling. But I don't. I thank God that I don't know anybody. I but I have been seeing on my Facebook feed from like acquaintance type friends,
Mm-hmm.
and they'll post something like, "We're raising money for this person's family because they died suddenly." I saw that a couple times last week, actually in one day,
Hmm.
two separate instances. But I don't know where that whole thing is going. But I tell you what, I still think that come 2024, they're going to. This is a possibility, and I'm almost predicting that this will happen. This is a very not the strongest prediction, but that they'll blame it on the Orange Man.
Oh, how?
So they'll well, I mean, in the same way that during 2020 they're talking about the vaccine, like Joe Biden saying, "Oh, are you going to take it? Who's going to take
Just
it?"
warp speed.
Yeah. So that's the biggest Achilles heel that Trump has, and I feel like they're gonna have to say something at some point. Maybe they don't. Maybe they just lie for an eternity. But if what Ed Dowd says is true regarding what's happened and what that it hasn't slowed down in terms of the sudden deaths. If that's the case, then they're gonna have to address it in some way. I don't. It seems like a tight. It seems like a tight rope to walk to do that. But the
For
sad,
you or me, you
the
or
sad,
I.
yeah, the sad thing is, if we're talking about the normie population, I mean, I think at this point, anything's possible that they could come out, flip the script, and get them to blame Trump for it. Now it might be a long shot, because I think their general thought process is that they don't want people to even think anything about the vaccine being bad. But I don't know. We'll see what the next year brings.
Yeah. It's too late for that, though. For not wanting anybody to think. They have to control this narrative.
They do.
And at the same time, speaking of tight ropes, they can't let Trump win. I mean, look at. So he already won. Like the last time they were like, "Oh, he'll never win," and they just kept like trying to do the old law of attraction. Oh, he'll never win, even though they didn't follow that the negative reinforces the positive. So if they say he'll never win, means he'll win, and he won, and they probably never even expected that. Never even thought all their plans got disrupted. Whatever they're planning. Have you ever heard of the 16-year plan?
No.
Okay, I'll have to bring that to another time. But point being is that they then orchestrated. They couldn't get him out with find people on both sides. They couldn't. He just kept getting stronger and stronger, and they inflicted a mass trauma event to get him out. So imagine what they'll do to keep him out. I mean, they're trying these arrest things, but do you think he's dirty? I doubt it.
Yeah, I don't.
At this point, I doubt it.
I mean, it depends how corrupt the judicial system is.
Sure.
Whether he's dirty or not might not even matter. But
that's very true. Good point.
Yeah, I mean, in relation to the election in 2024, I mean, for one, is it actually going to be Biden running at this point? Because
he hasn't announced, so
I mean, so there's that timeline where he's got to go. He's got to go soon if he's going to go.
Yeah,
like
or he's got to. Yeah, or he's got to announce that he's running.
I think they're kind of fucked. I think they have to run Biden at this point, which is just absolutely absurd. I cannot.
Well,
But
then they
I don't
would
know.
want it if they're grifting. Then they would run them against. They would control whoever they're running him against and let that person win. Then let the steam off about Biden. Because like, come on, everybody that voted for him, dumb as they are, only voted for him because it wasn't Trump.
Right.
That's the only reason. So they don't love him. So they can be relieved. And then the GOP side can be relieved. And I've been hearing a lot about DeSantis being that guy, but I don't know. We'll see.
So the problem with Trump winning in 2024 is the whole ballot harvesting thing, because as we saw in 2022, somehow Katie Hobbs won in Arizona. I question that to the extreme. And actually, I heard there's a case that's going to be heard
By the Supreme Court.
the U.S. Supreme Court.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, okay.
Pretty sure.
Yeah, I know I think the Arizona Supreme Court kicked it back down to a lower court to make them address one particular issue
Oh, okay.
regarding the signatures or something along those lines.
Okay.
So, and then you literally had Georgia, you had Nevada, and you had Arizona having the same issues of reporting taking forever. That all of those things look extremely suspect, and it's almost like they had to rig Arizona in 2022 to prevent any type of change happening in 2024. Because I mean, I'm not from Arizona. I live in Colorado, but I don't see Arizona as a blue state.
I don't either.
I know they're purple, but I feel like it's still pretty red. And if you look at the Senate and the House there, it's pretty red. So that election didn't make a lot of sense to me, other than there was some anomalies going on. Also, the whole mail-in ballot thing is just totally screwing over Republicans, because if you're a Democrat, if you're a part of the party and you want to get a bunch of votes, you just go to the inner city and say, "Hey, you hate Orange Man? Fill out this ballot real quick. I'll turn it in for you."
Right.
So you can't do that for Republican voters because they don't live in concentrated areas. So that
Right.
advantage, I don't know how they're going to address that, but it seems like also what's going on in Pennsylvania and a few other states. That, I mean, is Michigan really that blue? I don't know. Maybe it is, but there's some changes that it seems like big hurdles to me.
Yeah, they changed a lot in Michigan in 2020, and then just blew over. I don't know. I don't know. I don't think Michigan's that blue.
I don't either.
But then I think like Michigan's so under the radar that like there's a lot of goof shit going on in Michigan. And it's just it'll never get talked about. And even like some of the loudest election deniers that I've heard, when they speak of the 2020 election, they say Pennsylvania, Wisconsin, Nevada, Georgia, Arizona. But if you recall, Michigan was the nastiest, man. They kicked Republicans out. Republican, what do they call them? The watchers, poll watchers.
The election, yeah.
Kicked them out.
Right.
And then boarded up the window.
Oh, that whole scene was crazy.
And had multiple cameras filming multiple dumps of like vans full of ballots at like 3 a.m. It was just the most brutal, and how nobody really wants to talk about that too much. Like, it just blows my mind.
Well, I will say Jocelyn Benson, the Secretary of State, there is has the worst Twitter presence. She's oh, honestly, her and the Attorney General are. It really makes Whitmer's account. She's like she tries to play way more middle of the road. Like she actually, it's almost like those are her attack dogs, and then Whitmer's like,
Yeah.
I'm fighting for a better Michigan.
Let's get it
I
done.
like, and I have to say, in comparison to some other politicians, she does come off as a little more likable.
And Whitmer?
Yeah.
Oh yeah. I mean,
it's crazy to say that, but
no, it's not. It's her persona. It's a very likable character.
She's almost like
she's a likable character.
She's like the Democratic female version of George W. Bush. Just not very smart. No offense.
Right.
You know, we did a lot of things during the pandemic that they just didn't make a lot of sense.
Yeah.
You see that clip of her?
Oh yeah, the HBO special.
Was that on HBO?
Okay. Yeah, it's Wallace on HBO. I haven't watched the whole thing.
Going to the garden centers, and we just didn't want the congregation.
Yeah, people were wanting. We didn't want them congregating around all the gardening section, and let's be darn tootin' honest here. Nobody's planting in April anyway.
You're an idiot,
girl. You don't know anything about gardening.
Yeah, you ever heard cold season crops anyway?
Cold season crops, starting seeds.
Right. Come on, man. Yeah, starters. Hello.
Yeah.
Yeah, whatever.
And that goes for all the other people that just mimic that same talking point during that. That got me. That flipped me out. I didn't care about the virus. I didn't care about the lockdown. I didn't care about any of that. What I cared about was people's ignorance on gardening. Like, if you can't grow your own food, what the fuck good are you?
Yeah, I know. It's like, it's just hobby gardening. Like, yeah, well, some people really try to grow as much as they can.
Yeah. I'm really glad that your daffodils really sprout up in May, but I'm over here fucking trying to get pickles and cucumbers and trying to get these get a grasp on these okras. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know how to grow okra.
Yeah, okra's hard.
They just grow huge, and then they're all so fibrous, man.
Yeah, you got to pick them right at the right time.
Yeah. Anyway, but you're right. So she's got the 3. You've been on your Twitter game lately, huh?
Oh well, I don't know. So it's interesting to have a shared account.
Yeah. Just don't tweet anything to these politicians in here, man.
What's that?
Just don't tweet anything to these Michigan politicians. I'm a sitting duck over here, man.
Yeah, I've been going more at the groups recently, but
yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting because for whatever reason, whoever you followed, or man, that feed sucks sometimes. I'm just like, all right, McMallory, whatever the hell.
Did I follow her? Or did you follow her?
No, I don't think I did. Are we here? I don't even think we're following her. It just shows her on our feed a lot.
We got to. If she's on our feed, aren't we following?
No, not necessarily. You'll see people.
It says, okay, here's the home. It's for you.
Yeah.
And then who you're following. Okay. So you are following Sally Mayweather?
This isn't Sal the Agorist, isn't that?
Yes. Okay.
He's got some good memes, but
yeah, for sure. I love the memes. Well, it's possible that I was following that because I like to follow some of these politicians. She was on Mallory. Yeah, she allegedly is a crazy person, but like,
no, she said Michigan's going to be the anti-Florida. I'm sure that played well.
Yeah, man. That's the thing too, is like these people are like
The anti-Florida? Okay, you want to? You mean like all the blue states where people were fleeing from to go to Florida? I think
Right. And like,
you already are.
I know.
You don't have to do anything.
And your boss bitch over here is down there hanging out, escaping the heat. Yeah. Allegedly lying that her dad's dying down there and she went to help him out or something. I don't,
Oh God, that whole thing. Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, I don't understand their whole I mean, I get it. It's like mean girl type, like clicky shit, high
Yeah,
school.
that is what it is.
Sorority shit.
Yeah.
It's probably what it all is, actually. It's just a bunch of sorority chicks running things. But yeah, I think I did follow her because I saw her on some news, like some national news station. And
yeah, MSNBC or some shit.
Yeah, and I was like, ooh, who is this? Why?
She's angling for sure.
Oh yeah, for something. She probably wants to be like next Saki or something. Like they're probably all angling for Whitmer's administration.
Oh, as in for
Presidential.
Whitmer?
Yeah, sorry. Yeah.
In 2028.
Yeah, they're probably all they probably vision boarded it and like they got all like the leather, their vision boards like 2028 President Whitmer and administration. It's just a bunch of like cutouts from like, fashion magazines with leather jackets,
Yeah, we're in for a doozy here.
Dude, I know. I think I was texting you the other day about how that I felt that it was not so ironic that movie won so many Oscars. The Everything Everywhere All at Once, or however one say that, because that's just what it feels like. The craziness is everywhere.
Yep. I mean, even for somebody, I like to go down the rabbit hole. I like to find out what's going on.
Yeah.
But in the last month or so, I feel like I've had to take a step back a little bit just because it's gotten too crazy.
Yeah, and I did the same thing, and yeah, I wasn't really looking into anything, but that's when the crazy shit happens, yeah, like a step back, and then all of a sudden Trump's saying he's gonna get arrested, and it's like, well, whatever, and then the banks are failing. Like the moment I step off, it's like some weird shit, and then Tennessee shooting. It's just bizarre.
Yep.
And I don't believe in coincidences, and it's almost like the system wants our attention on it.
Yeah, we can't escape it, man.
Well, that's for sure. But
yeah, I mean, I think the situation in Ohio kind of like was a point where I was like, I can't go to the worst case scenario on this stuff because it's just too disturbing for me to think about.
Which one? The derailment?
The derailment, yeah.
Oh, that's a land grab, bro. You know about that, right?
Well, I have heard that.
Yeah.
As in, it's not as bad as they say, kind of thing.
Oh, well. Let's just say it's not as bad as it's always been. Because if trains are really derailing that much, this shit's been seeping into our ground for decades.
Well, yeah, I mean, I don't know if we've ever had a release of those chemicals in that way. I don't know. It's hard to say.
Yeah, you would never know.
So I know somebody, and I talked to them recently, and they have family in Pittsburgh, which is about 50 miles from East Palestine.
Yeah.
And they told me that in the last month or so, their entire neighborhood has been dealing with like people getting sick all the time, having memory issues, and some people coughing up blood
in their neighborhood.
In Pittsburgh.
Oh my god!
So and this is somebody that's not even that's pretty normie minded. Like
Yeah.
they're not. But I talked to them like, hey, you might want to look into this whole thing, and they're like, I actually have family there, and it turns out, yeah, that's what they told me just a couple days ago. So I don't, but there was also something else going on in Pittsburgh, like something got released into that river again.
Yeah, I heard that too. Did you hear they were trying to ship all that waste up to Michigan?
Weren't they doing that? Didn't they do that?
Yeah, I guess they had a town hall meeting. But Debbie Dingle, our representative here,
Oh, is that your representative?
yeah, she sent out an email the night before, late at night, about the town hall meeting the next day. So I don't know what happened at that.
Yeah, I mean that facility isn't in Belleville, I think, or something like that.
Belleville, yeah.
Belleville, yeah.
Van Buren Township.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's for like 5 miles from me.
Oh.
Doxing myself over here.
That's all right. Yeah, I mean, I had heard that there was a guy trying to file a lawsuit. I don't know what's going on, but it seems like they're just dumping it there, and I don't know, dude. I don't know, man.
Yeah.
I mean, the level of coverage that this story has gotten is non-existent compared to what it should be. But I don't know. I mean, I have heard that angle from just a comment section. Somebody like, I live pretty close to East Palestine, and it's like I haven't seen anybody's animals dying or anything like that.
Yeah, I heard that. Yeah.
I can't imagine. I don't know. Like, I'm very curious. Again, I'm curious, but I'm also like kind of scared to go down that rabbit hole sometimes. Where I'm like, I don't know what I'm going to find, and I want to sleep at night, kind of thing.
Yeah, sleep's healthy.
But yeah, I mean that whole. I still can't get over the whole white noise thing. The movie White Noise, where the train derails in nearby that town. And,
yeah.
I mean, how is that not predictive programming? I mean, it is.
Yeah.
And it raises the question, from who? Who did, if it was planned, what was the point? Do like land grab, to your point, if that's what it was or is, but who did it?
Yeah.
If it wasn't just an accident, I don't know. I mean, because that type of thing, that type of coincidence does, like, that's the kind of shit that shows up in false, like all the references we saw for 9/11, prior to 9/11, the exact event happening.
Mm-hmm.
Were they planning this? Was somebody planning this? Or I mean, that type of coincidence it's hard to write off as just that, So I'm not sure totally, but in this crazy world of ours, I just have a hard time not drawing some connections there. I mean, we've seen it too many times.
Too many. But then for it to just go away so quick.
Yeah.
And this is all off the heels of this stupid balloon from China. Which is everything's always off the heels of something, like we could trace this back to the Hong Kong, the Ukraine war being off the heels of trucker protests.
Right.
It's just amazing. It's amazing. I mean, I don't even know. Have you heard of Bash Back?
No.
Okay, so I've been collecting zines.
Oh.
This one is called Be Gay, Do Crime.
Sounds like Antifa to me.
Okay, yeah, I'll read a little bit here. It says, in the clash with the alt-right, we are encountering another of those worlds. Diane de Prima said it best in her revolutionary letters, and it seems to me the struggle has to be waged on a number of different levels. They have computers to cast the I Ching for them, but we have Yarrow stocks and the stars. It is a battle of energies, of force fields, what the newspapers call a battle of ideas. I find that interesting that I Ching is referenced there, as in both sides are using it. They have computers to cast the I Ching for them, but we have Yarrow stocks. Okay. And it goes on. Since the moment when the Bashback network encountered the clash of the new world breaking into existence, we've experimented in ways to live in this new world with which we are bound up in some divine act of co-creation. We and these words have gone to the corners of the world, announcing, as the frenzied skeleton above, our magic, be gay, do crime. So, I mean, you got me, man. I mean, that's not this whole scene. I should probably just do a reading and post it, but
that sounds like Antifa, right?
Yeah, there. Yeah. These 10 taken together, they've got 10 arcana. Form a sort of minor arcana: queerness in its negative sense, normalcy, social war, queerness as conflict, the other, the excluded, repression, forced relations, attack, a subterranean riotous inheritance, darn that means, space, terrain, excess, and then number 10 is refusal, the self-described anarchist. In furtherance of this tarot, so they must be making a tarot. In furtherance of this tarot, we present the reversals. And then they go through the different cards here. So, when was this written? This has to have been recently. I don't even know if it says. But yeah, I don't know. Maybe this is all because I heard that the derailment was an Antifa.
Yeah,
I heard that too.
Well, I remember. I don't know who it was said that. Ryan Dawson mentioned that in 2020 they were handing out stuff up in Canada, I think it was, about how you can derail a train, essentially.
That sounds like anarchist cookbook type stuff.
Right. But I was just thinking today, actually, like, if this is a form of warfare, why isn't the US doing it to China or anybody else? You know?
Because I think the warfare is against America.
Well, for sure.
From within.
Well, so that, yeah, they don't. They got an escape route planned? I mean, who are they making deals with to fuck over the landmass of the US?
That's a good question.
Because, at some point, like, but again, if we're accepting the reality of chemtrails, those motherfuckers breathing in that air too, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know where they're at in their process as human beings, but
well, they probably have 30, 40 years of advanced science, medicine, yada yada yada.
Yeah, and it still can't help Biden's brain, am I right?
If that's even At this point, I'm ready to believe that it's not.
Well, it's the same. Yeah, it's. You ever seen Biden and Fetterman in the same room together? Maybe it's the same guy, just wearing a different mask. I don't know.
Yeah, man. I mean, people are always like, "Oh, that's crazy, conspiracy theorists." But have you ever seen the videos of those masks? Those like real life.
No,
Yeah.
I haven't. I mean, I just think of Mission Impossible, but
Basically,
it wouldn't surprise me at all. I mean, Lord knows, dude. Lord knows. What was it?
It's got to be in here somewhere. Hyper. I mean, is that? That's 3 years ago. That's 5 years ago. I mean, okay, maybe here.
Oh, are you gonna play something?
Yeah, I'll share my.
I gotta get that slow grift out of there.
Oh no.
Can we not?
Oh yeah, we can. I just gotta grant access. I gotta go in this. Ooh, gotta type in this password. Oh no. All right, we'll have to do it later.
That's fine.
Sorry, yeah. I'll make sure we're set up on this end.
You know, I saw this the other day. It just came across the Twitter feed, so this is also something that should be looked into. That Michelle Obama changed her, I think, changed her birth certificate or something from male to female in 2008 or something like that.
Wait. So they got all the way to 2008?
Yeah, supposedly. I mean, this came across. It makes me want to look this up real quick.
Yeah, come on, Michael. So say it ain't so.
Dude, that's the first thing that pops up. Michelle Obama, trans. Michelle Obama, a man.
Did you say that's on Twitter?
Yeah, this is on Twitter. On certainly wouldn't be on Google.
Huh.
Just in, Ted Nugent tells Kyle Rittenhouse Michelle Obama's a man. Where was it? You know, Twitter's search feature is not very good. Oh, okay. I don't know if this is her registered to vote as a man from 1994 to 2008, according to Illinois Board of Elections.
No, wow.
I don't know.
Yeah.
I mean, you pull this up. And who knows? It could be, but it's believable. Unfortunately, as absurd as it sounds, it's.
I mean, just put it out. Nobody cares.
Yeah,
everybody knows. Like Joan Rivers says, everybody knows.
I will say that the Obama children don't actually look a lot like their parents.
But they really don't. Yeah.
So it's one of the parents, or maybe not, maybe both. Who knows? You remember Obama being the clone of Akhenaten? You remember that?
Yeah. Yeah, Mo Fax did the episode on that.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah.
Oh, that's right, yeah.
Yeah, he did the 45, 46. 46 being, what was it? Big Bang Theory? Yeah. That episode, he ended with their whole fascination with themselves or seeing themselves in those likenesses. And then whatever their presidential library Something about that. Some esoteric stuff going on there too. Dang, this headline just came on Newsbusters. Joy Reid's religion seminar.
Excuse me?
Heresy. Joy Reid's religion seminar on MSNBC finds her religion seminar finds, as though it's a scientific study, that being anti-trans is anti-gospel and anti-Christ.
Oh, opposing trans is demonic.
Yeah.
Because as Joe said, you are created in the image of God.
That's Joe?
Yeah, Joe said that on his Twitter feed
the
other day.
Joe Biden?
Uh-huh.
Oh.
So something I've noticed that's interesting, and there's a linkage here between postmodern thought, Satanism, and the trans thing. And I've noticed a lot of people who resonate with, for whatever reason, Satan, also resonate with the idea that you can choose your gender. In a way, it makes sense because Satan is kind of saying man is above God. Man can be his own God. Therefore, you can create your own reality.
Yeah.
So it all goes together in a weird but logical way.
And it's the same thing he said in the garden. Eat this fruit and you'll be like gods.
Mm.
Yeah. Take a bite out of this tree of knowledge, fruit from the tree of knowledge, which would go into postmodernism because you have to be learned to kind of understand that. Learned. Yeah, interesting. Yeah, dude, there's a spiritual aspect to this that I'm not ready to really formulate, but something's going on. Do you see it like a rise in like exposure to end times type of thought, or are you is that an algorithm thing for me?
Well, if we're using the same account, that's kind of funny. No, I don't think any more than I've seen since I got into these ideas 10 years ago or whenever it was.
Okay.
It's been a pretty consistent kind of thing in the background. I think, I mean, in the last year or two, I think it's gotten more to the forefront, but I haven't noticed anything recently that, indicates it's being promoted or whatever.
Okay. Because I think you have, you own the Twitter feed.
Oh, okay.
And I think I own the YouTube feed. The YouTube algorithm.
Oh, I got you.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, just hold on a second. I'm so glad I have a mute button so you don't have to hear me sneeze. Yeah, there's something going on though, I feel.
Yeah, absolutely. I don't know what you're saying. There's something going on in terms of end time stuff being promoted to you, or what were you referring to?
No, just spiritually, like all this inversion, like when we were talking about Satanism and how the Satanists, they just pretend that they're not Satanists, and that's all confusing and stuff, but then lurking behind those gatekeepers or YouTubers or whatever you want to call them, content creators, kind of put a whimsical spin on Satanism, make it look cool.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, but if Satanism is just another hierarchical pyramid structure, those people aren't really going to know what it's all about. It's not till you get up in the, I guess, really until you start making covenants with other Satanists that you really start to really see some evil shit going on.
Yeah, I mean, the people who are, I feel like the actual true evil Satanists are not the ones who would publicly say that they are.
Yeah,
The
and
people who are publicly saying that are the dupes, the goths and the nerds who just think that that's cool or whatever, but they actually have really no idea what they're doing.
Well, I feel like none of them really know what they're doing. Like even the high ups, like I just don't feel like any human being is really, if they're susceptible to that or acting on behalf of that type of force or energy. I mean, going back like spiritually, like we're all made in God's image, then you can't really blame those people. Like at the end of the day, we'd have to. Are you gone? Are you still there?
I'm here. I'm,
Oh,
I'm
okay.
just yeah. I'm muted.
Oh, sweet. Yeah, I was just thinking at the end of the day, like I will forgive like people like Biden or I mean these are just lower level things, but like anybody acting on behalf of the devil, I'm gonna forgive them. They're people. They're not humans. I don't think that they're inherently evil. But for some reason or other, I mean, this goes way back. You can get into generational curses, and this is why people are open and susceptible because somewhere back in your life, back in your lineage, somebody was playing around with different gods, fallen angels, demons, whatever you want to call them, and they made oaths with them.
It's funny that you bring up family curses and that idea because I was thinking about. I was having a conversation actually the other day about how my brother tends to think that our family is cursed, and which I think is there's a superstition there, but that was his belief. And I feel like I don't know if it was my first year at college, but I remember tripping on acid and thinking about all of my family's trauma throughout all the years and just the idea that I can actually change the trajectory of my family by addressing that trauma and actually breaking the curse essentially.
Yeah.
And it was literally like this bell went off in my head, and at that very moment the bell went off at like on campus at like 2 a.m. because I was outside, and it was just like that synchronous of like, wow, I just got my bell rung and then the bell rung kind of thing.
Yeah.
It felt real in terms of because my family, especially, well, honestly, both sides have had a lot of like some crazy shit happen. Like my dad's dad, his family, my grandpa's side was very fucked up. So there's some dark stuff in there. But you never know who can break that cycle. I mean, I'm waiting for Joey Rockefeller to really come out and say like, my family's fucked.
That's what I'm saying. Like that can heal. You know what I mean? Like as long as they're alive.
There's a possibility of that. I mean,
I'm cynical, but like I think it's too late for George Soros.
Oh, yeah, he's.
But his son Alex can certainly step up, and
For whatever reason, Open Society has been popping into the Slow Grift feed.
Oh, really?
And I noticed there's almost no engagement on the posts at all, which I'm like, wow, there's minimal trolls even going on that post. And I've actually been hesitant to troll Open Society because I'm like, that's one organization that's I don't know if they're
Got some money behind it. Maybe?
Yeah, they
Yeah.
can they activate people real easy, it seems. But I mean, I would have expected them to have turned off comments like years ago, based on Bill Gates' fucking Twitter feed.
All right.
Those are the funniest. Where it's like you're just admitting defeat at that point,
when you turn comments off.
Yeah.
Like
WEF, World Economic Forum's doing that too.
Oh, of course. we can't have open debate amongst our viewers.
Yeah, no, there's no greater forum for the world than one without comments.
Yeah. Oh, man. Yeah. That's anyway, going back to the spiritual, that's what I think it is, because I don't think that these people are this evil. I think these are spirits inside of them. Especially like that billboard man assault.
Oh, yeah.
And just like some of the most like unprovoked, things. Like how many times did that guy say fuck you before he like choked him? You know what I mean?
I didn't even watch the video yet. I've been kind of resisting because I've seen a lot of those videos.
Yeah.
It's just kind of infuriating, but
yeah.
But yeah, I mean, if they're possessed with something, clearly.
Yes.
I mean, they got some demons riding.
Well, it makes sense because I mean that's the biggest kind of like blasphemy is to change the body that was created for you.
No kidding.
And then not to mention whatever sexual acts come with that kind of mindset. That's. I mean, I'm a firm believer that you open the door. And there's many things that you can do, sin included, to open that door for spirits to move through you, to use you. Yeah.
I mean, yeah.
Check this out. Yeah. Since I've been reading the Bible more, I've been getting a lot of friend requests. Or no, friend suggestions in Facebook to Illuminati accounts.
Weird. On Facebook?
Yeah.
Wow.
Which I'm hardly ever on. Yeah, it'll just be like some like like compass and ruler graphic with a one eye. And be like, friends suggested for you. Like what? Like I don't even. That's on some other level shit. I feel like that Facebook advertising.
Yeah, they got some hook into, I don't know. I've actually been, and I should have been doing this forever, but I don't want any devices in my bedroom when I'm sleeping.
Hey, I've been thinking about that too lately too. Yeah.
I just bought an alarm clock because I mean, already for the radiation with my phone, like I don't know why the fuck I've been sleeping with it for so long right next to my head. Primarily of the alarm. Ooh. I could buy an alarm clock and put my phone in the other room so that I'm not.
Yeah.
But also in the more tinfoil hat part of it is like, who knows what they're able to put some subtle signals into your phone. It's totally not out of the realm of possibility to impact your subconscious, your sleep. I mean, I have no idea. And I say that in response to what you've been saying about And I think everyone's experienced it at this point when it comes to Facebook, where you're like, you say something to your girlfriend, your wife, or whoever, and then a few minutes later, it popped the whatever that topic is pops up on your feed. So
Mm-hmm.
that level of surveillance, or I mean, it's almost a form of mind reading. That's what's creepy about data, and I
Mm-hmm.
don't know if you've really tried to explain to people um, why data is the new oil and why it actually, like, what the value of all that stuff is, because I mean, I'm still a layman when it comes to that
Mm-hmm.
idea. But I remember trying to tell my old roommate, who was very much in the normie mindset of like, yeah, AI and all of this stuff, like the reason that all of these apps are free and the reason that people care at all about their data is how it could be used against them, but most people don't have a clue. So they're like, well, what do I have to hide? Well, I mean, you would want to be hiding that stuff if you knew how they could use it to suggest things to you, manipulate you into doing something that you never, 5, 10 steps down the road, had no idea that was the intent.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Actually, we started watching the show Rabbit Hole with Kiefer Sutherland. It's good. It's kind of cheesy. Kiefer's not the greatest actor
No.
sometimes.
Yeah.
Um, but it's basically the idea of using data to create situations or manipulate reality for political or financial gain. Um, and all of those aspects are, like something that people just have no idea is happening to them.
Right, yeah.
And
Yeah.
we know our phone is a spy device, but yet, I bought this phone intending to get out on the Graphene OS operating system, so I could be private as much as possible. But it's, convenience is a bitch, and it's hard to get off of it.
Yeah. I agree.
But like, kind of to just tie this point together is how many patsies or people that are over socialized or used in a way that they end up becoming just these straight up pawns of whatever agenda have been groomed by who knows who that has that access to that information and can manipulate, like they I mean, you have to wonder. I'm talking like DARPA,
Mm-hmm.
NSA, CIA, private individuals, or whoever could have access to this. uh, if you would want to groom the types of people that go to those rallies and just are insanely reactionary, the Antifa types, all those people, there could be operations going on where there's large groups of people who are falling into that because they meet all the categories, and that has been monitored for a long time and agitated by certain entities.
Mm.
I mean,
Mm-hmm.
you can kind of see that, like, and that's why when you get in the truth movement, it's like, yeah, everything's a psyop, everybody's a spook, because you never know, really. Um, but I don't necessarily believe every single aspect of our life is controlled in that way, but you have to speculate, and that's what Black Mirror is for and all that, like that show. But like,
Yeah.
um I it makes you wonder.
Yeah, I think Black Mirror is to warn you of if you continue letting a certain thing control you and manipulate you. But I definitely agree, like, not every aspect. We all have the opportunity to pull back and kind of take a 30,000-foot view of our lives or even of ourselves and how we're going about making decisions during the day.
Yeah, I think, you and I and I mean, a lot of people have that sense of awareness enough to have, the ability to pull back, but they're
Sure.
even in my life where I'm like, I'm a pretty aware guy. I think about this stuff.
Yeah.
That there are times where I'm like, I just did something that I didn't want to do, or ate something, or I had to be whatever it was to
Yeah.
avoid that habit. And sometimes you question how much the digital space is nudging you towards something, even us, because we're at how does the establishment, the narrative, nudge us when we're not in the narrative? Because it's obvious the people that are just being used as pawns to support the narrative, like they've got a way to push the people that aren't. So,
But I mean, it could be. It doesn't even have to be that. Like, even if we're aware of it, we can be nudged in a certain way too. Like you're saying, when you're sleeping, you could be nudged into having doubt,
yeah,
about something that you're trying to improve in your life, because you're aware you're trying to improve. And then every night when you go to sleep, and let's face it, if we're being surveilled, whoever's looking for it knows you're trying to improve your life,
yeah,
because they've heard you talk about it, or if they can read your mind, they've seen you think about it. And then every night when you're vulnerable, they can just nudge you in a certain way to wake up the next day to feel like it's all hopeless.
Yeah. That black pill is a big old psyop a lot of the time.
Yeah, for sure.
I mean, it got me pretty good when I first got into these ideas. The unknown, all those possibilities. You start considering it. You read some things online, and you're like, "Holy shit, it's all fucked."
Yeah.
But I think um, leaning into that mindset obviously is probably what they want some people to do, because then they're just going to give up or become radicalized in another way that may not be the best route to go.
Yeah, or just off themselves
Yeah, there's that.
in some way or another, whether it's like directly or maybe indirectly.
Yeah,
by,
through bad habits or
yeah,
whatever.
exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, like jerking off, constantly
Yeah.
for a lot of these people. And but I think it's a serious consideration to be taken, especially with 5G. Like, I'm just walking around. That's another thing that just kind of goes off the heels. Something else comes off the heels of that, because it's like I'm walking around the neighborhood and there's just in random spots these little antenna thingies,
Uh-huh.
and I'm like, when did that go up? I mean, and it can go up at any time. And it's definitely gone up a few places just in my neighborhood. So I mean, these are real considerations, I think, that
Yeah.
need to be taken.
Do you think they're going to activate something with that at some point, where maybe they have the ability to broadcast some kind of thing that fucking, or maybe they're already doing it. I don't know, but
Yeah, that'd be interesting. They're not doing it to me. Yeah, I always wonder. I don't think it'll be in the way we think it'll be, but maybe a direct. Maybe that's like for later, if this is the end times, maybe that's for the beast worship type shit. Every knee will bow type of. Except for those that don't bow, and then they'll just be killed.
Two jack for the gulag, man.
Or the guillotine. I mean, I love how that's inverted too. And I mean, the devil is just a non-creative entity for sure. But in the end, every knee will bow and every tongue will confess. and that's just straight up for Jesus, and everybody knows that. Devils and not. But then the devil will, the Antichrist comes and yeah, oh yeah, everyone will worship him except for people that don't, you know, and they'll just be off. They'll just be gotten rid of, banned, you know.
Yeah, I mean we're far along in that process, which I'd like to do an episode. I know I talked to you about this about demoralization
Yes,
and
yes, yeah.
inversion, and then also um, just getting into how um, how we've gotten here, and the Saul Alinsky's of the world. I mean,
Mhm.
I would actually be interested in reading that book. Um, but I feel like I would be agitated myself just reading the playbook for so much of modern life. Um,
Mhm. Mhm.
but the linkages between the movements today and the Frankfurt School, the Herbert Marcuse's, the
Mhm.
fucking
Mhm.
and then the Weathermen Underground, and how
Oh,
that
yeah.
affected. I mean, it still blows my mind. And I remember, God, so much of the shit, and I don't know if you have this experience, but so much of the shit when I was in college and I would hear whispers of people saying, like, Obama, stuff like Obama started his political career with a terrorist present, and you're always like, yeah, right, yeah, he's a terrorist, okay, yeah, thanks, like grandpa, like I don't. They're overblown. You were you scared about the communists in the 50s too? You fucking
Yeah. Yeah.
idiot. And then it's like as time goes on, you're like, huh? Maybe there's something to that because
Yeah, maybe there's something to it, and maybe grandpa didn't even know what he was talking about also, you know what I mean?
yeah, sure, yeah, he
Yeah.
was just biting at the edges too.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah.
But the more you look into that stuff, it really, I mean, I read this article when a lot of this stuff was going on in 2020, and it basically tracks the movement that, like, all the 60s groups, like the was it the PLO, the Symbionese Liberation Army, like a lot of
Yeah.
different organizations going on, the Weathermen, and how that linked up to current movements, and how a lot of those people became institutional figures, like teachers, politicians. William Ayer's really obsessed with the education system, apparently.
Mhm.
And I'd like
Mhm.
to do more research in that. But, and then you have Susan Rosenberg, all that stuff. So,
Mhm.
um, and this is just a preview of this future episode, but it's so fascinating to me that those people were pardoned, let out of jail, allowed into these positions, and no one seems to mind. You know, like it's almost as if they've been protected for generations.
Yeah, just don't
And
talk about it and too much, and don't make a stink about it.
who is a comparable? This is the thing, because we're off. I grew up thinking like, the right wing took over, whatever. Those terms are kind of hard to even track at this point.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
is there any conservative, quote unquote, right wing group that is anywhere close to what the Weather Underground was, and like all of that stuff that was going on in the 60s and 70s? Has there been any group like that? Any insurgency group? Because there's like
I'm gonna say
militia.
no, no.
Yeah, I mean, there's like militia guys, but for the most part, with the exception of the people like McVeigh who are patsies, the group on the whole is not like, what's a right wing terrorist group, like, legitimately?
Right. Yeah.
And because I'm trying to get a gauge of like, okay, uh, what other group on that side of the political spectrum has the type of institutional cover that those groups had, because it's insane.
Yeah, it is. I was just trying to think like what would a normal person say? They would bring up the Whitmer kidnapping,
Yeah, that's, I mean,
January 6th.
what, like
What in the past? Rush Limbaugh.
yeah, I'm thinking like, yeah,
I know what you're
not
thinking.
even
It's
modern
just,
day, yeah.
yeah, it's just like that would be responses, which
The
would
John
be,
Birch Society. I mean, that's a joke. I mean,
yeah,
in comparison, like they're John, they didn't do anything in terms of. I'm saying sending bombs to people. The
right,
only
right,
guy. See, this is the thing. The only person that comes to mind is the Unabauer,
yeah,
but he was just one person.
one person,
One
yeah,
person, right?
yeah,
And so,
sprung forth from a liberal institution and experimentation.
yeah, yeah, right. So it would, if Ted Kaczynski hadn't killed anybody and he just sent bombs to people, but had that manifesto, um, there, even with like him not killing anybody, nobody would ever have pardoned that guy, because he actually wasn't part of any institutional element.
Yeah, it's bizarre.
And there is no so why, see, this is the thing, like, why, I mean, you're seeing some of this a little bit when it comes. I mean, the Proud Boys are a fucking joke. Literally, they were started as a joke. Um, and then you also have these Patriot Front guys coming up. But I mean, if it's not a Fed operation, um, even still, there's been nothing comparable to that stuff, and clearly nothing close to the riots and all that shit that happened for BLM.
Mm-mm.
So, like, is it just not what I'm asking, I guess, is like, why haven't they gotten more groups to be violent in the name of that? Because it certainly seems like it's really easy to do that on the left.
Yeah. So what did the Be Gay Do Crime call it? They called it, it's a battle of energies or force fields. So those energies on the right, that's just not part of their energy to disrupt and destroy and dismantle. They're conservative. They conserve.
Mm-hmm.
And you can say, "Oh, they conserve the status quo." Well, maybe, but if the status quo is not bombing and killing, and causing destruction, then that's fine, right? Let's conserve that, right? That's a status quo that's good. Yeah, I don't know. I never really thought about that.
Yeah, it's just something that came to my head just now in relation to those groups,
Future
because
topic, yeah.
yeah, in general, but like, who's the Saul Alinsky of the right? The ten rules for. Oh, sorry, that's Jordan Pierce. But like the guys that are compared to those types of people on the left. I don't even. I mean, there's no.
I think it's the energies that they're trying to draw from their audience, because the ones on the left are always trying to appeal to those, like, the outrage, the injustice, the unfairness of it all. It's like devil shit. Like, oh, it's so unfair that God didn't create you like he did himself, to be like him, It's like that little the beta mindset, whereas, like, I guess the conservatives of the world, they're appealing to people's or the hope of people's higher callings or moralistic integrity, or principles, things that are more virtuous.
Well, yeah, I mean, you have a. Um, I mean, conservatives aren't. It's hard to generalize all different groups, but I
Yeah,
think in general, it's more, I guess, rooted in traditionalism, which is rooted in things that like it's not this just disrupt the
yeah.
whatever it is.
Tradition brings stability to
Yeah,
a society.
exactly.
Yeah,
Now
or
you
to
can
a family,
and
or
you can
to
critique that tradition or that whatever.
yeah,
Um, but the point is that what you're saying, the energy behind most conservative thought is not to tear it down; it's to make sure that it doesn't, um, get torn down by somebody else. Essentially,
yeah. Pretty much it
you're
that
trying
it
to
that it upholds. Yeah,
hold on to some sense of whatever you consider to be the like correct tradition or whatever really you
hmm
relate to your culture. So that mindset, I mean, I think it's Eddie Bravo said that, you look at the people who are most willing to, like, yeah, man, we gotta fight the system. Like, you end up doing a lot of, like, you might do a lot of drugs. You might end up doing um, things that, like, I mean, when you throw everything out the window, I mean, sometimes you lose things that you didn't think about, like when it comes to tradition or all religions bullshit. Like,
hmm
well, you still have that inherent need for a lot of the things that it provided for you, and as a result, I think you're generally more susceptible to manipulation going completely without any roots, without any sense of being grounded to some type of code or principle or community or group.
hmm
Uh, and so I guess what I'm saying is that I think modern left wing thought in a lot of ways is more like you can fill in all of those gaps that are created by shunning every aspect of your culture. So you're like the a fresh a fresh book, an open book, whatever.
hmm
You
hmm
can we can put in any ideas that so the new thing is we're gonna say it's pregnant people. Oh, okay, yeah. Well, I mean, if that's considered progressive, then, like, yeah, I can adapt to that. All right, so the new normal is a minor attractive person. Well, yeah,
hmm
like, and you saw that with COVID. The
Yeah,
norm, the ease of which the government was able to normalize crazy, insane shit that had never uh, happened before, and I think that a lot of people that were the most resistant to it had more grounded sense of whether it's religion or just that strong identity that is missing, very much missing in a lot of woke urban liberal centers. That a lot of people are just lost, and
yeah,
lost people can be guided very quickly by people that want to push them one way or the other. So
yeah. They can be lost people in the dark can definitely be led astray by a dim flashlight too.
yeah.
You know,
Uh-huh.
they can walk off a cliff because the light didn't shine bright enough. But I find it interesting. I think a lot of the pandemic that I noticed what you're talking about is a strong relationship to logic and logical thinking. which I think it's interesting because I feel like a lot of that is moved towards not religion per se, but belief in God for a lot of people, myself included. I mean, I always have, but it's just kind of a more I don't know how to describe it. More intentionality about action behind that belief, um, which I also find interesting because then that would, if you're already grounded in logic, and that was your rock, and it moved you closer to God, then that would make God logical. No,
Yeah.
the logical
Well,
conclusion.
consistent. Yeah.
Yeah. So, but I mean, and it's interesting too, and maybe I have to apologize because once I see it, I can't like unsee it anymore. A lot of these things. So when we're talking about people being, shunned, or it's really easy to manipulate these people when they feel like let's take the modern liberal thought of dismantling the status quo. And they're feeling like they want to dismantle the status quo because they're feeling left out by the status quo. They don't relate, or they're not accepted by the people that adhere to the status quo. So essentially, what do they call themselves? They call themselves outcasts, right? And when when I hear the word outcasts, I can only think of cast out. And who was
Huh.
cast out? The devil.
Huh.
And once again, we're back at this victim mentality of the devil. And now he shares this space with all of us, or he has forever and ever. And it just seems like that's where all of this comes from. That not necessarily a physical devil, but just that mentality
Yeah.
of like separation, you know, and then identifying as itself, and then trying to get everyone else to identify as it.
Huh.
I mean, isn't that what cancer is? It's one malignant cast out cell,
Huh.
that tries to get all your other cells to identify not with you as the body and the functioning, organism, but with it as a cancer. I just find that interesting that's the pattern that this world seems to be falling under right now, or society, at least in America. I can't, and maybe Europe as well, but I really can't speak for South America or Russia or China or all these other African cultures. I just don't see them. That's why I guess I don't see it. It can't be really end times, could it? Maybe it could be, but it can't really be because are these other cultures really going along with this? I mean, look at the BRICS. They're creating a whole financial system to kind of, well, like, why would they want to be dependent on us at this point?
Yeah.
You know, an alleged pedophile president. We have our banking system is allegedly pedophilic. I mean, isn't JP Morgan CEO in some sort of court thing?
Jamie Dimon?
Jamie Dimon, yeah.
Oh, I haven't heard anything about that.
Yeah, he allegedly he knows all about the payoffs that Epstein was making to
Huh.
underage sex slaves. And he knew about it the whole time. I mean, so why, if you're in another country that's not America and not linked up with that sick system, why would you want to do business with us? If you take a look at us and see who's running the country.
Yeah. It makes me wonder in the New World Order with the factions that are being created, because the multipolar world that's rising up with BRICS. Uh, James Corbett's talked about this. That doesn't mean that those countries are out of the control grid, as it were, of those people.
Right.
Um, Putin's a hard one to pin down if he is or isn't in on it. I can go both ways. I tend to think if he's not in on it, he's being played by somebody to be that guy regardless. But now, does that make him a legit guy? I don't know. It's really hard to say if he is truly fighting the New World Order or not, or just playing his part. Like I can really go either way on that. But in terms of, like there's a lot of countries that, like China or any of these other countries that are communists or socialists or whatever. And I certainly don't agree with a lot of those policies. But in terms of the government having a semblance of trying to care about the economy and maybe better the chances of its people, because, it's when you're on the rise, like you actually have to try to do that. Maybe it doesn't mean you're going to be competent at it, but I don't know if China has the degree of hating its people like we do with our leaders, to where it just feels like so antagonistic because we've been on top forever. So like our leaders don't have to have that pretense. They just pilfer off what they want to, and they're arrogant. They don't have to like build roads or bridges like China is. They can just bomb shit and fucking do whatever they want.
Yeah. And get away with it too.
Yeah, totally.
And I mean, gaslight everybody in the process.
That I still, I know we're on a podcast, but sometimes I'm speechless about how absurd it is that all of these people who claim to be against war just stopped. Obama got in, won the Nobel Peace Prize, and then he had the blessing of all of the people that hated war for 8 years prior.
Yeah.
And he put a good face on it, and we tortured some folks.
I know.
I killed a 16-year-old American citizen. What other president's done that, by the way? I don't think Trump droned any American citizen. I don't even think Biden has.
No, not American citizen.
No.
I know the one brought up is a 6-year-old. Non-American citizen.
Who's that?
Trump, somebody's granddaughter.
Oh, okay.
One of the ISIS folks.
Well, yeah, and it's not to take away from the loss of life or whatever, but the legal process of actually executing an American citizen in that way is
correct. Yeah.
Absolutely crazy, and I still can't believe. Most people probably don't even know, like, Anwar al-Awlaki? Who's that? Who's it? Like, whatever. Yeah. You don't know shit, but they don't tell you about it.
Right.
That was fucking crazy. But, yeah, we're here because it kind of, to wrap back to my point about Trump potentially being blamed for the vaccine and them flipping that switch again, inverting everything to where all of the normies are going to be like, oh, Trump rushed that vaccine. That's why we're having issues. The point is, with what's gone on with Ukraine and the flipping of anti-war people, like they could flip the COVID crazies to being vaccine skeptics again, or at least through the controlled narrative that they were in 2020,
easy,
just to get at Orange Man, and then he'll lose, and then we'll be mandating the new Marburg vaccine or some shit.
Yeah, well, that's the question. That's the question. Will they allow another pandemic
Yeah, I mean,
to take place before the election?
yeah, there will be another one.
Yeah,
I still don't. I mean, yeah, I still don't
I
think
don't
they
see
can.
how it's possible,
Nah,
but
they can't. That's
then again, you and I are both left speechless at times.
hey.
So
Well, it seemed like they were trying it with monkeypox and
too
then
early. It's too early.
RSV. It's just
Priming the pump.
they got to have something truly new, or I just don't think they can go to that well again. I don't know. But who knows? You're right. I mean,
the other well to go to is, there's a few, I guess, but the only other one that's as severe would be nuclear war
right.
or the threat of it.
Uh-huh.
But it would have to be a seriously believable on all sides event, like COVID was.
Mm-hmm.
Completely believable on all sides.
Yeah. I think anything, I don't know. I feel like they got to do the cyber thing. That's what's going to freak some people out. And maybe legitimately, maybe not. I have no idea.
Hey, well, let's practice disconnecting.
Yeah.
In the meantime, little spurts here and there.
Yeah, I will. I will certainly be leaving my phone in the other room tonight. So my alarm clock has finally arrived. So
nice. Good.
But with that, I have to use the bathroom. We've been on here for 2 hours, which is it's been fun. But
yeah, it's pretty on brand. So cool, man. All right, well, let's talk soon. We'll talk on the back end about maybe different times, not so random. Who knows?
Yeah, right.
All right, man.
All right.